How you doing there? Welcome back to Babble on Talmud. Today we're starting Daf Yud Zayin, Daf 17 of Masechta Menachos. Friends, today's an exciting day. It's an exciting day because we complete the second chapter, the second parak of Masechta Menachos, and we begin the third parak of Masechta Menachos, parak Haqometz Rabbah. Parak Haqometz Rabbah is known for the sugyas in it on mezuzah, tefillin. So we're not going to jump in. We're not going to get to those quite yet, but they will be coming up in this parak. So something excited for us to look forward to. For the past 4 or 5 months or so, I've been hard at work with Pigul and Chatzi Matirs and Mizbeachs and Korbanis. We're going to have a little bit of some sugyas that are shtickle more nogea lemaise for the first time in a while. So that should be coming up soon. And oh boy, do I hope it opens a window for me to be able to jump just one page ahead. I just need to get one page ahead. If I get one page ahead, then the dafs come out every single day at the same time, just like they had for 5.5 years. I just need to get one page ahead. Either that or I need Yoshua ben Nun to come and just keep the sun in the sky for another 15 hours one day, hopefully very soon, and then I can just squeeze in another daf and we can move on. Wow. As somebody messaged me yesterday asking me how Menachos is going. A Talmud Chacham I know from the area. What is chus to know such? It's special when you have a person like this who's so unassuming you wouldn't know, but he's such a big Talmud Chacham. It's nice to have a person like that you know. Anyways, so this person, this Talmud Chacham friend of mine, he messaged me last night and he says, "How's Menachos going?" And I said basically in the same way as Vachim was going, and I said that Kachim is like hard on a level that I haven't encountered before. That's what's been going on. Anyways, friends, so we're starting the third parak today of Masechta Menachos. Now, today's daf, there's kind of two sections. I think it's actually going to be a smaller daf because A, it's not that hard, and B, it shouldn't be that hard, and B, we're actually going to stop kind of high up on Yud Zayin Beis because otherwise it just kind of flows into daf Yud Ches, and anyways, that's what we're going to do. That's the plan. So I actually don't anticipate such a long daf. Now, two sections. Pigul possibilities when burning the qometz. Of course, when it comes to the qometz, there's the scooping up of the qometz. There's also then putting it into the kli, walking into the mizbech, and then there's also the burning of the qometz. So, what are the pigul possibilities when burning the qometz? We will discuss that, and then we will begin the third parak of Masechta Menachos, parak Haqometz Rabbah, and we will discuss pigul for irregular thoughts. So, for example, if you think about burning something that's supposed to be eaten or eating something that's supposed to be burnt, friends, this is what we have in store for us on Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Menachos. Let's get it. Also, as a follow-up from yesterday's sort of, not exactly introduction, but little note before we began, where I had mentioned that I'm very confused about the burning of the levona and how exactly it fits in because I'm getting mixed messages. I was at the synagogue yesterday to pray mincha, and in between mincha and mariv, I was learning there on the side, and in walked a local Talmud Chacham who also gives the Daf Yomi shir. He's a big Talmud Chacham. And anyway, so I used the opportunity to say, what's going on over here? Like, what's the deal with the Levona? Rashi explains it one way, the Rambam saying something else. There was that Tosefta from Sota. Anyway, so I was asking him, so yeah, basically says the Machlekes Asugyos, basically. Yeah, he was aware, obviously, of the Rambam and the Tosefta and Sota, but yeah, he explains it kind of. We were talking about it kind of the way that Rashi was explaining that be'etzim. So this is actually very important, friends. This is actually very important. So be'etzim, according to the way that Rashi is understanding the burning of the levona, at least in our sugya over here. So be'etzim, what happens is you have the mixing bowl with the flour and the oil and everything in it, and then you take a qometz from the mixing bowl. You put it into the qometz bowl, and then you listen friends, so you take a qometz from the mixing bowl, you put it into the qometz bowl, you take the qometz bowl up to the mizbech, you burn it, The kohen then comes back, right? The kohen takes up to the mizbeach and burns it, adds salt probably first and burns it, takes it back down, collects the levona from the mixing bowl. And I don't even think he puts it in a kli sharis. I think he then just takes the levona up to the mizbeach and burns it there. Very different than the Rambam and from that Tosefta in Sota that gets quoted. Right? According to them, the qometz is scooped up from the mixing bowl, put into the qometz bowl, and then the levona is also added to the mixing bowl, and then is also added to the qometz bowl, and the qometz bowl with the qometz and the levona are taken up to the mizbeach and burnt there. According to Rashi, it's very different. At least Rashi here, it's very different. In which again, he takes the qometz, puts it into the qometz bowl, takes the qometz up to the mizbeach and burns that, comes back down, collects the levona and takes that back up, which explains why, for example, there's holacha by both the qometz as well as by the levona, as one example. Anyways, that was just a little bit of a follow-up. So that being the case, I'm less confused. I mean, there seems to be machlekes asugyas. Apparently, the Gemaras, how they're relating to the levona here in Menachos is different than how they related to it in Masechta Sota, and also different to how the Rambam seems to explain it. I mean, the Rambam doesn't seem to write anywhere like our Gemaras are saying, so it's very peculiar. So it definitely is very intriguing, how to make sense of all it. But at least we say, okay, you know what, we're going to learn this Gemara like Rashi, and we have a Mahalach here. Okay, now let's jump in to Daf Yudzayin and Masechta Menachos. Friends, we're going to start on Daf Tezayin Amid Beis all the way at the bottom. Last word of Tezayin Amid Beis Amrei. Now we're on Daf Yudzayin Amid Aleph. Charife de Pumbedisa. Who are the Charife de Pumbedisa? I was super happy with myself. I yelled out loud yesterday when I saw this. I said Charife de Pumbedisa. I said I knew this. I know that because when I saw Charife de Pumbedisa, I immediately said Daf Yudzayin Amid Beis of Masechta Sanhedrin. That's where there's that whole list of the Savi de Pumbedisa, Charife de Pumbedisa, the I don't know what else were there, the Ami b'mai Rava. They're like all those whatever, like these phrases. And when you see a phrase like this, you say, wait, this we know who these people are. Anyways, I was like, that's Avime, that's the Eifa and Avimi. And that's sure enough, that's what Rashi says. So Rashi says, Mefarish Beperek, Kama de Sanhedrin, Eifa va'avime b'nei Rachba de Pumbedisa. I was so happy. I was like, yeah, I got it. I was very, very happy about that. Chariv de Pumbedisa, Haktara mifagelas Haktara. So Eifa and Avimi b'nei Rachba de Pumbedisa. So the Charife de Pumbedisa, they say, the sharp ones of Pumbedisa say, Haktara mifagelas Haktara. That burning can be mifagel burning. That when burning the qometz by a mincha, if one has machshava that I'm burning this qometz with the intention to burn the levona tomorrow, chutz lizmano, so pigul. That is pigul. And they argue, and even according to the rabbis, who, as we know, hold, ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir. So here, you are burning the qometz, which is only half of the matir, because the levona is the other half of the matir, which would be matir the shirayim. So here, the machshavas pigul is only by the qometz, which is only half of the matir, right? And therefore, maybe I would think like the Chacham would say here, ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir, right? So say the Charife the Pumbedisa, no, here that wouldn't apply. Even according to the rabbis, the Amri that they say in mefaglim b'chatzi matir, that there's no pigul when the machshavas pigul is by half of the matir, in which case only the burning of the qometz. You see, mefaglim b'chatzi matir would be when the kohen burns the qometz, which is only one of the two matirs. There's also the levona. When the kohen burns the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim, chutz lizmanu. Nowhere in that equation is the levona, which is the other 50% of the matir. right? It's the qometz plus the levona together are matir the shiraim to be eaten. And if the kohen burns the qometz with the intention of eating the shiraim chutz lizmano, and nowhere in that equation is the levona, well then that's mefaglim b'chatzi matir, and we say the halacha is ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir according to the Chacham. However, in this case, avalacha dechishev lo b'levona, but in this case, the levona is part of the equation. He's burning the qometz with the intention of then burn the levona chutz lizmano. So the levona is part of the equation here. The intention is to burn it chutz lizmano. Well, kema dechishev ba bikula matir dami. So we'll consider it, since the levona is part of the equation here, we'll consider it as if both the qometz and the levona are being engaged in this cheshbon, and it would be considered a full matir, and therefore the Charife de Pumbedisa argue that in this case it would be pigul, and there would be no issue of ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir. Amar Rave Afanami Tonina says, Rave, I can also bring a raya from the Mishnah on Daf Yud Beis Amud Aleph, which had a whole run-through of a whole reminder of Pigul, reminded us of Pigul from Masechta Zvachim Ze'aklal. This is the rule, Kol Haqometz, when it comes to Menachos, anybody who scoops up a qometz, V'nosein b'chli, V'amolech v'amaktir, anybody who scoops up a qometz, puts it in a vessel, brings it to the mizbeach, burns it on the mizbeach, lechol dover shedarku lechol v'laktir dover shedarku lahaktir, to eat something that is normally eaten, i.e. the shiraim, v'laktir dover shedarku lahaktir, or to burn that which is normally burned, the qometz. Chutz l'mkomo pasul v'im. If the machshav is chutz l'mkomo, of course we know that there's no chiyuv karis, but it's pasul. Chutz l'zmano pigul v'chayv n'olav karis, and if it's chutz l'zmano, so then of course that would be pigul, and there would be a chiyuv karis. Now we had said scooping up, putting in the klisharis, walking to the mizbeach, burning on the mizbeach. So my lab haktare dum yadahanach. Let's say that the burning on the mizbeach should be no different than the scooping up, putting in the vessel, and walking over to the mizbeach. Mahanach bein lechol bein laaktir, just like when you scoop up the qometz, for example, whether your kavana is to burn the qometz chutz lizmana, or whether it is to eat the shiraim chutz lizmana, right? Whether it's to burn, whether it's to eat, that could affect pigul. So let's say that just like the scooping up of the qometz is whether the kavana is about eating the shiraim or burning the qometz, so let's also say that when burning the qometz, the kavana could be whether about eating the shiraim or about burning the levona. So we see from our Mishnah, right, that the scooping up of the qometz, the putting it in a vessel, bringing it over to mizbeach, and burning of the qometz, all of them could affect pigul, whether we're talking about eating the shiraim or burning. In the case of the scooping, putting in the vessel, and walking to the mizbeach, it could be burning either the qometz or the levona. In the case of burning levona, so it would be burning the qometz, it would be to burn the levona. I feel like I just made that more confusing than it needs to be, but we want to argue from there be'etzem that when burning the qometz, there could be pigul, whether when burning the qometz you're having machshavas chutz lizmano by eating of the shiraim or by burning of the levona. Okay. So avakdar bein lechol ben laaktir lo, to which the Gemara says not necessarily. Hanoch bein lechol ben laaktir. No, I'll say that the scooping up, the placing in a vessel, and the bringing over of the vessel are whether to eat the shiraim chutz lizmano or whether to burn the qometz chutz lizmano. However, or I think even to burn the levona chutz lizmano also. Where am I? Hanach ben lechol ben laaktir. Haktara, however, when it comes to haktara, would be lechol in laaktir lo. Haktara would be pigul only when the kavana is to eat the shiraim chutz lizmano, but not to burn the levona chutz lizmano. So the Charife, the Pumbedisa say that if one burns the qometz with the intention of then burning the levona chutz lizmano, they say that would be Pigul. We tried to bring a raya from the Mishnah on Daf Yud Beis, but we said that that proof is a little bit is not conclusive enough. I'm going to drink a little water. Okay. Yosef Rav Menashe bar Goda Kame Goda. Sounds like my great uncle saying, "Don't play in the street." Goda. The gutter. That was so confusing because I always thought about gutters as like the things on the roof. All of a sudden, gutter is the middle of the street. I still find it a little confusing. Don't run in the gutter. Yosef of Menashe bar Goda Kame da Abaye. By the way, that was the same great uncle who figured out how to make more ketchup by adding water. By adding more water. Right. Don't play in the gutter. Make more ketchup by adding more water. He was a good guy. Uncle Mati. Yosef of Menashe bar Goda Kame de Abaye. Menashe bar Goda was sitting before Abaye. Yosef called Omar Mishmei of Chizda, and Menashe bar Goda says the name of Chizda. Ein aktor mefageles aktor. Oh, okay, Givaldik. So here we're saying, unlike the Charife de Pumpadisa, here we're saying that when burning the qometz, if there's machsheves chutz lizmano by the levona, it is not pigul. Ein aktor mefageles aktor. Fafilu Reb Meir, and even according to Reb Meir, who says that you can have pigul by half of a matir. So here you're having kavana when burning the qometz about burning the levona, but the kavana is by burning the qometz. It's only 50% of the matir. Even Reb Meir would say, even though mifaglim b'chatzi matir, not here. Reb Meir says, look, if you're burning the qometz and thinking about the shirayim, so that would be mifaglim b'chatzi matir. You're burning the qometz and thinking about the shirayim. What about the levona? You also need to burn the levona. Burning the qometz is only 50% of the matir. And says Reb Meir, in that case, that would be a scenario of mifaglim b'chatzi matir, because the qometz and the levona are actually matir the shirayim. You can't eat the shirayim until you've burnt both the qometz and the matir. There's an order of things. I'm sorry, and the levona. There's an order of things. You first burn the qometz, you burn the levona, only then can you eat the shirayim. Now, if you burn just the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz lizmano, so that is half of the matir with an intention of eating the shirayim chutz lizmano, so that's literally chatzi matir. And Reb Meir would say mefaglim b'chatzi matir in that case. Because the shirayim, the qometz matir, where am I? The qometz matir didu. Because the qometz is actually permits the shirayim to then be eaten. The qometz lav matir de levonahu lo matzi mefagel bei. But in this case, the qometz is not the matir for the levona. As we saw the other day, it's not like you have to first offer the qometz before you can burn the levona. You can burn the levona before the qometz if you want to. And therefore, since the qometz is not the matir of the shirayim, so it is the matir of the shirayim. Because the qometz is not the matir of the levona, the concept of mifaglim b'chatzi matir isn't relevant here, because we're not talking about the qometz being matir the levona. The qometz lav matir the levona, since the qometz is not being matir the levona. Levona is kind of parallel to the qometz. Lo matzi mefagel bei would not be pigul. Sheesh, I feel like my brain could be working a little better. All right, we work with what we got. Amale Abaye says to Rav Menashe bar Goda, Oni Mori, please answer me. Mishmei de Rav, did Rav Chizda say this? That ein aktar mifageles aktar. Did he say this in the name of Rav? Amle in. And Rav Menashe bar Goda says yes. Rav Chizda did say it in the name of Rav. Itmanami was also stated Amar Rav Chizda Amar Rav, that Rav Chizda says in the name of Rav, ein aktar mifageles haktara. that burning the qometz would not create pigul when there's a machshava to burn the levona chutz lezman. Right? Burning the qometz with the intention of then burning the levona chutz lezmano would not be pigul. Rav Yaakov bar Idi mishmei de Abaye afonam mitanina. Now Rav Yaakov bar Idi says in the name of Abaye that let's also learn this out from a Mishnah, from our Mishnah, the Mishnah Daf Tezayin that we learned yesterday. Shachad echo min akvasim lecho mimenu l'malchor hu pigul v'chaveru kosher. That when it comes to the shtei alechem, if one of the kivsei atzeres was slaughtered with the intention of eating with the intention of eating its own meat, chutz lizmano, well then that sheep is pigul. Lechol mechaveru l'malchor, but if Ruvain the sheep is slaughtered with the intention of eating Shimon the sheep, chutz lizmano, shneim ksherin, they are both ksherin. It's not pigul. My time outcome lamishim dekaven de lav matir didei hu lomatzi mefagel bay. Is it not because of this reason that since Ruvain the sheep is not matir Shimon the sheep, they are parallel. Ruvain the sheep can be slaughtered first, Shimon the sheep can be slaughtered first. It doesn't matter. So because they're parallel, we'll say that slaughtering Ruvain the sheep with the intention of eating Shimon the sheep chutz lizmano is not pigul because Ruvain is not the matir. Ruvain the sheep is not the matir for Shimon the sheep. Lo, we say no, that's not the reason. Hasamu delo ikba b'chad mana, avalocha de ikba b'chad mana kichad damu. No, I could say that when it comes to Ruvain the sheep and Shimon the sheep, the reason why slaughtering Ruvain the sheep with the intention of eating Shimon the sheep chutz lizmano, the reason why that is not pigul is because they are two independent sheep, as opposed to the qometz and the levona, which at least in the mixing bowl, right? We said according to Rashi's, they're not necessarily being joined together in the qometz bowl, but at least in the mixing bowl, the qometz, right, the flour and the levona are together. So therefore, I can argue that maybe in this case, by the qometz and the levona, maybe kilu. If we only had the example from the Mishnah with Ruvain the sheep and Shimon the sheep, that slaughtering Ruvain the sheep with the machshava to eat Shimon the sheep would not be pigul, I would say okay, because they're two separate animals. But when it comes to the levona and the flour in the same bowl, maybe you could argue that would be pigul. So therefore, the Mishnah is just simply not a proof for the argument to say that burning the qometz with the intention of burning the levona, right, we had said is not pigul. That Mishnah with the two sheep would not necessarily be a proof for it. Wow, pigul is a bit of a grind. Even like when the content isn't like that difficult, like the content of today's daf, I feel like isn't so difficult, but it's just classic kudshim. There's like so many things that need to be spoken out all the time. You know, like what is being matir, what? Is it the qometz? Is it the levona? Is it Ruvain the sheep, Shimon the sheep? Are they separate? Are they the same? Are they different vessels? Are they independent? It's like so many details always have to be spoken out when it comes to kachim that even like simple things become not necessarily complicated, but just take time. Amar Rav Nuna says of Nuna, Amilsa Ivlali Rab Chanina says of Rav Nuna that the following halacha, essentially I heard from Rab Chanina, Uskila li kechuli tamudai, and I cherish it. It is as weighty on me. It is as important to me as all of my learning. This is how much I love this teaching. And the teaching is, Hiktir qometz, if somebody burns a qometz, okay, if the kohen, I guess, burns a qometz, lehaktir levona, to burn the levona, lechol shiraim, to eat the shiraim. We're going to have to explain what this means. That if a kohen burns a qometz, to burn the levona, to eat the shiraim, the macher, chutz lizmano, pigul. Ma'ikamash Milan, what exactly is this teaching that Rav Nuna loves so much? What exactly is it saying? If the point is that it's teaching that haktorah can be mefagel haktorah, that burning the ktoras burning the qometz with the intention of burning the levona chutz lizmano is pigul, Well then, lema hiktir qometz lahaktir levona. Well then, just say burning the qometz with the intention of burning the levona chutz lezmanu is pigul. Why do we have to talk about the shirayim at all? And if the chiddush is that mefaglim b'chatzi mater, that burning the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz lezmanu is pigul, and it's teaching that mefaglim b'chatzi mater, well then le'meik der qometz lechol shirayim l'machar. So then just say burning the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz lezmanu is pigul, and we'll learn chatzi mefaglim b'chatzi mater. And if it wants to teach both of the halachas, that Haktara was it that what's it called? What's the thing called? Haktara mefagelas Haktara. That if it's teaching Haktara, if it's teaching us both that Haktara mefagelas Haktara as well as mefaglim b'chatzi mater, so then lema it should say hiktir qometz, that if one burns the qometz lahaktir levona v'lechol shirayim, whether to burn the levona chutz lezmanu or to eat the shirayim chutz lezmanu, lemachar tomorrow chutz lezmanu. So what's going on? So just say there should be a vav there saying either or. Sheesh. Ah, man, I really thought this was going to be okay. Let's go weiter. Something with my brain is like being funny, and I keep on thinking that there's like a bug jumping on me. I don't know if there is. Maybe I should try getting more than 3 hours of sleep. I was starting to think that maybe 3 hours of sleep is enough. Dag nabbit. All right. Anyways, where are we? The point is, what's Rav Nuna? What's he getting so excited about this statement that if you burn a qometz with the intention of burning the levona, with the intention of eating the shirayim, like what is it teaching us? Is it teaching us, what was that statement? Haktara mefagelas haktara. Is it teaching us mefaglim b'chatzi mater? Like what's it teaching us? Look, really holds that haktara is not mefagel haktara. That burning the qometz with the intention of burning the levona chutz lezmanu, no pigul, no dice. Ve'ein mefaglim b'chatzi mater, and also ein mefaglim b'chatzi mater. That burning the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz lezmanu is not pigul either, because ein mefaglim b'chatzi mater. However, what's unique about this scenario is that because he had both intentions, he had the intention to burn the levona chutz lezmanu and the intention to eat the shirayim chutz lezmanu. So because this is so thoroughly pigul, you have two sort of vortexes. I feel like that's not the right word, but two kind of angles here on pigul. You have so even though ein mefaglim b'chatzi mater and haktara is not mefagelas haktara, but when you have both of them in one machshava, that I'm going to burn this qometz with the intention of burning the levona chutz lezmanu, which in and of itself would not be pigul, but also to eat the shirayim chutz lezmanu, which also in and of itself would not be pigul, but together the machshava of eating the shirayim chutz lezmanu and burning the levona chutz lezmanu together, this mincha has become through and through pigul inspired. Well, at that point we will say that it is pigul, and that's the chiddush here, is that even though independently ein mefaglim b'chatzi mater, haktara is lav mefagel haktara, but when combined, then it will be pigul. Tanitana Kamed Rav Yitzchak, a Tana taught before Rav Yitzchak bar Abba the following teaching, the following brisa, essentially. Keilu, right? The way that it would work is that you have this yid who learned a teaching, and he came before Rav Yitzchak bar Abba, and he taught the following teaching that he had learned. Hiktir qometz, that if a person if the kohen burns the qometz, lechol shirayim, to eat the shirayim chutz lezmanu, l'divrei hakol pigul. Everyone says pigul. Frag the Gemara. do you mean everyone says Pigul? It's a huge machlokes I've been learning about for the past few days. Reb Meir says Pigul because mefagim l'chatzi mater. Chacham say ein mefagim l'chatzi mater. What do you mean everyone says it's Pigul? It's a big machlokes. Ella ema the divrei hakol. Rather say according to everybody pasul, not Pigul but pasul. Because even according to the Chachamim who say it's not Pigul, they still say that the korban is pasul. V'lema reza Pigul v'Reb Meir. Why new? There's basically two levers that we could play with, right? This Tana clearly made a mistake. This teacher came before Rav Yitzchak bar Abba. He clearly made a mistake in what he was saying over, right? He said that if you burn the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz l'zmano, everyone agrees. So everyone agrees that it's Pigul. So the thing is, not everybody agrees it's Pigul. That's mefagim l'chatzi mater. It's a big machlokes. So either we could say he didn't say Pigul, he said pasul. Or you could say, he didn't say divrei hakol, he did say Pigul, but instead of a divrei hakol, he said Reb Meir. So friends, again, here are the two options. He was supposed to say pasul, but he said Pigul. The other option is he was supposed to say divrei Reb Meir, and instead he said divrei hakol. So the Gemara says, so ema divrei hakol pasul. That according to everybody, it's pasul rather than Pigul. V'lema arezet Pigul for Mary, but why not say no? He was right to say that it's Pigul, but instead of saying divrei hakol, say Reb Meir. Well, because Tana divrei hakol asniyua Pigul b'pasul michalefle harezeh b'divrei hakol harezeh b'divrei hakol lo michalefle. The thing is, look, what happened was this person who was teaching this teaching in front of Rav Yitzchak bar Abba, he clearly heard this teaching from somebody else, from a teacher or something. And the question is, he clearly made a mistake in saying either what he heard or what he's saying over. The question is, where is the highest likelihood of the mistake? Pigul versus pasul, that could be a good place to make a mistake. Harei zeh divrei Meir versus divrei hakol, that's more of a stretch. Kilu, if you heard divrei hakol, he probably didn't hear Harei zeh divrei Meir. Or if you heard Harei zeh divrei Meir, he probably didn't hear divrei hakol. What most likely happened is he heard divrei hakol, like he said to us just now, but when he told us Pigul, really heard pasul. That was the mistake. That according to divrei hakol, according to everybody, it's pasul. Not according to everybody, it's Pigul. Okay. So therefore, what he's saying is that if the kohen burns the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim chutz l'zmano, which is mefaglim b'chatzi mater, so everyone agrees that at least that the korban is pasul. Because even the chachamim say that it's not Pigul, they do nonetheless say it's pasul. Hajan aloch Haqometz es hamincha. If you look at Rashi, at the bottom of the Rashi, it says Hajan aloch Haqometz zuta. Right? I mentioned today. Right? We're getting up to Perek Haqometz Rabbah now. But this first parak was called Haqometz Zuta, and now we're about to get up to parak Haqometz Rabbah. All right, friends, and now we get up to the famous parak of Haqometz Rabbah. I believe that it's famous because of the sugyas of tefillin and mezuzah, I think, which we'll probably get to, I think maybe in like a week and a half or so. Haqometz es mincha, somebody who, right, so a kohen who takes a qometz from the mincha, lechol dover she'ein dar kolechol. But at the time, so he scoops up the qometz with the intention of eating the qometz. You don't normally eat the qometz, you normally eat the shirayim. But he scoops up the qometz with the intention of, I'm going to eat the qometz chutz l'zman. V'laktir dover she'ein dar kolaktir. Or to burn something they don't normally burn. For example, the shirayim. You're supposed to eat that. He scoops up the qometz and says, I'm going to burn the shirayim chutz l'zmanu. So the intention to eat the qometz, to burn the shirayim, these are things that are not eaten, not burned. Kilu, you mix them up, kosher. So in that case, the mincha is kosher. Rabbi Eliezer pasul. However, Rabbi Eliezer says pasul. Okay. Now, lechol davar shedarku lechol. Or if his kavana is that he scoops up the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim, right? That makes sense. V'laktir davar shedarku laktir, or to burn the qometz. Also, qometz is meant to be burned. But pachos mikazayis, however, he has intention for less than a shear, right? So he scoops up the qometz with the intention, I'm going to burn less than a kazayis of the qometz, or I'm going to eat less than a kazayis of the shirayim, chutz lizman. Kosher, so the korban is kosher. Lechol kachatzi zayis v'lakti kachatzi zayis, as we already know from, I think, Daf Yud Beis and Beis, that if the kavana is to eat half of a zayis chutz lizmanu and to burn, or to eat half of the kazayis of the shirayim chutz lizmanu, and to burn half of a kazayis of the qometz chutz lizmanu, kosher, the korban is kosher, she'en achila v'aktara mitzdarfim, because achila and aktara, eating and burning, right? Eating, which is achilas adam, and aktara, which is achilas mizbeach, don't join together to create a full shear, to create a kazayis. Rashi points out that we really didn't need to repeat that line, because we already had that line on Daf Yud Beis and Beis. Or was it Yud Gimel and Beis? Yud Beis and Beis. But the only reason why it's mentioned here as well is to make the point that Rabbi Eliezer does not argue on this. That whereas Rabbi Eliezer argues when it comes to eating something that's not normally eaten, Tanakama says that would be kosher, Rabbi Eliezer says it's possible, and apparently we're going to see in the Gemara that that's because out of a concern that if we say that something that if the kavanah is for something that you don't normally eat, out of concern for the kavanah about something that you do normally eat, however, it does not make the gzera by half a zayis out of concern that you might burn a whole zayis. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. My time is Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. Says Rabbi Asi, the name of Rabbi Yochanan. What's the reason for Rabbi Eliezer? Why does Rabbi Eliezer say that if a person if the kohen scoops up the qometz with the intention of eating the qometz, chutz lizmanu, qometz is not normally eaten, so the Chacham said, Tanakama says kosher, Rabbi Eliezer says posel. How come? How come Rabbi Eliezer says posel? Amrukah, the answer is because the pasuk says, that by Pigul, the pasuk by Pigul, if you remember, there are two psukim by Pigul. One is big, one is small. The big one is in Parshas Tzav, the small one is in Parshas Kedoshim. We're quoting the big pasuk here now that says, He'ochel ye'ochel b'shtei achilas hakasav medaber. He'ochel ye'ochel, two achilas. Echad achilas adam ve'echad achilas mizbeach. There's the eating of the person, and there's the eating of the mizbeach. Lo melach teseryu, kshem shebechashvim b'achilas adam, kach mechashvim b'achilas mizbeach. Just like there's machshavas pigul when we're talking about things eaten by people, there's also machshavas pigul by things that are consumed by the mizbeach, like the zrikas adam, like the aktar semurin. And continues the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer, and just like when scooping up the pigul, the qometz, you can have, if he has machshava of eating, of a person eating that which a person should eat, a person eating the shiari mincha, and also if the kavanah is for the mizbeach to consume that which is meant to consume, for the mizbeach to consume the qometz, so kach similarly mechashim me'achilas adam la mizbeach me'achilas mizbeach la adam. Well then also mechashim me'achilas adam la mizbeach, that even if you consider, if he scoops up the qometz with the intention of burning on the mizbeach the shirayim, which are supposed to be eaten, or for or to eat the qometz, which is normally burnt, still pigul will apply. My time outcome mida'apkinu rachmana la'aktar b'lashon achila, because since we're saying hey ochel ye ochel, we're saying eating twice, but we're saying because it says it twice, one is not just for eating of people, human eating, but also for being consumed on the mizbeach. So because it refers to consuming on the mizbeach as a form of eating, they're both referred to as eating. It's to equate the two. and to say that even if the consumption of the Mizbeach is for what's normally eaten by the person, or the eating of the person is what's normally consumed on the Mizbeach, we kind of like group them together, put them in the same sort of, group them together and say that you will still be, that will still be Pigul. Right? The intention to eat the qometz or to burn the shiraim. The rabbis explained, though, the reason why we have hey ochel ye ochel, even though one of them is referring to the mizbeach, is the loshna ki mechashiv b'loshen achila la mizbeach, v'loshna ki mechashiv b'loshen aktor la mizbeach. Oh, the reason why, even though one of those hey ochel ye ochels is a reference to burning on the mizbeach, why does it refer to burning on the mizbeach as eating? It's to say that even if the intention that you had when scooping up the qometz was for the mizbeach, but you had eating on the mizbeach, meaning you scoop up the qometz and you say, I'm scooping up the qometz with the intention to feed the mizbeach the qometz. To feed the qometz the mizbeach. Now, feeding is how you would describe human eating, not mizbeach. In there you would say to burn on the mizbeach. So saying, so it doesn't matter if the kavanah you had when scooping up the qometz to burn it on the mizbeach, he used the verbiage of eating rather than burning, or if he uses the more colloquial burning, the mizbeach, either way you'll be chayiv for Pigul. Inami, or else, alternatively, just like achila is bekazayis, it refers to burning on the mizbeach as achila to say that you'd have to burn a kazayis on the mizbeach to be chayiv. Or you'd have to have kavanah of at least a kazayis. With all of achila the orcha mashma, but at the end of the day, according to the chachamim, though, the actual what you're burning on the mizbeach is the qometz, and what you're eating is the shiar hamincha. If the kavanah is to eat the qometz or to burn the shiar hamincha, will not be Pigul according to the Chacham. Rabbi Eliezer responds, Imkein lichtov rachmana im hey ochel inami im ye ochel my hey ochel shmamina taite. Rabbi Eliezer, however, argues back and says, if it's only to teach that by the mizbeach you need a kazayas like by achila, just say hey ochel, use the same verb twice. Hey ochel ye ochel, or ye ochel. Why hey ochel ye ochel? Why two different words? To teach us two things. Yes, that by burning on the mizbeach, the kavanah needs to be for at least the kazayis, just like is the shir by achila. But also that they're also interchangeable. If the intention is to burn shirayim or to eat the qometz, you will still be that would still be Pigul according to Rabbi Eliezer. I think this is where I wanted to. Is this where I wanted to start? Stop. I think so. Okay, yes, we are going to hold it right here. We still have work to do here on Yud Zayin and Beis, but if we don't stop here, then it doesn't really stop until essentially the Mishnah and Yud Ches Amud Aleph at the bottom. So, anyways, friends, that was Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Menachos. Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, we learned about Pigul possibilities when burning the qometz. If you burn the qometz in order to burn the levona chutz lizmanu, well, the Charifei Pumbedisa said that it would be Pigul. Rav, however, right, that was Rav Chizda, the name of Rav, or even Rav Menashe bar Gada, in the name of Rav Chizda, in the name of Rav, would say that it is not Pigul. If you're burning the qometz to burn the levona and to eat the leftovers, right, because you kind of had that double intention, we said, right, to burn the levona and to eat the leftovers, it would be Pigul, but each on their own, not necessarily. And if the intention was to eat the leftovers, we had also said that everyone would say, right, I mean, if you're burning the qometz with the intention of eating the shirayim, even though it's chatzi matir, everyone would at least say that it's possible. The Chacham would say it's not Pigul because they ain't mefagel b'chatzi matir, but they would at least say that it's possible. And then we began the third parak of Masechta Menachos, parak Haqometz Rabbah, and we learned about pigul for irregular thoughts, right? If one scoops up the qometz with the intention of burning the shirayim chutzes manu or eating the qometz chutzes manu, so the rabbi said the korban is kosher because that's not pigul, whereas Rabbi Eliezer said it's pasul, and Rabbi Yochanan basically, right? Rabbi Asi explains the name of Rabbi Yochanan that it's based on a pasul, which means that it's asur midoraisa and it's actually pigul. Chevre, we're going to hold it here. That was Daf Yud Zayin of Masechta Menachos. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers.